Good afternoon. Could some of you come a little bit closer just so that I feel I'm not addressing you all from this giant gulf? Good afternoon, Denise.
I have an excuse.
So, thank you all for coming today to recognize the recipients of this year's Teaching Awards and also to honor three of our faculty members who are retiring this year. I will start with the Teaching Awards. Excellent teaching is a core commitment of our educational mission, and this is a faculty that takes that commitment very seriously. We have many wonderful teachers here, and it is an honor to celebrate their achievements. In choosing the recipients of the awards that I will present today, I was aided by a committee of students, Jared Adler, Chelsea Anderson, and John Levy. All three of these students are terrific institutional citizens and already exceptionally busy with other obligations, but they graciously agreed to take on this additional assignment on behalf of the school, and I would like to begin by thanking them very much for their work. So let me begin with the award for the Adjunct Faculty Member of the Year. Several years ago, we began the tradition of honoring the lawyers and judges who serve the law school as adjunct faculty. These distinguished members of the bench and bar enrich the educational experiences of our students immeasurably by teaching courses that bridge law school and law practice. I am delighted to announce that our recipient this year is Joe O'Connor. Joe is a partner at Bunker and Robertson here in Bloomington and has been teaching mediation for us since 2008. His course has become one of the most popular skills classes at the school, and for good reason. His students speak not only of his deep knowledge and experience, but of the way in which, in the words of one student, he shares his real-world experience with the class in thought-provoking ways. His students describe him as engaging, insightful, and passionate about his subject, and they come away from the class with a thorough understanding of the duties and methods of mediators. In particular, they praise the role-playing exercises he uses. As one student said, it's hard to pull those off, but his exercises are well-constructed, well done, and very beneficial. Joe is the paradigm of the practitioner-teacher. I am sorry that he was unable to join us today. He's out of town, but we'll look forward to giving him his award when he returns. The next teaching awards will be given to the faculty members who have won Trustees Teaching Awards this year. In 1997, the trustees of Indiana University created these awards to recognize excellent and meritorious teaching that is demanding, effective, and creative. This year, we honor two faculty members. The first is Professor David Fidler. Professor Fidler teaches a wide range of courses in the area of international law, including the foundational course in international law, international trade, international business transactions, and international human rights. He also teaches cybersecurity and global health. His students describe him as clear, calm, and challenging. They state that he expects them to tackle highly complex concepts in class, but is a patient and supportive instructor, giving them the tools they need to rise to that challenge. Students praise his contagious enthusiasm for the subject matter, his practical and policy experience in the field, and his ability to distill and present information in a manageable way. Professor Fidler is recognized as a teacher who truly enjoys being in the classroom. As the nominating memo states, it is abundantly clear that Professor Fidler creates a positive learning environment in which students thrive, and they love him for it. Now, Professor Fidler, too, was unable to join us today. He's in England, but he gave me a short statement to read. I'm sorry I cannot be with you today because teaching excellence is a core commitment of our community and because I was gobsmacked at being selected for a Trustees Teaching Award this year. It's the use of the word gobsmacked that, it's Professor Fiedler and not me right now. So please visualize a humble bowing of my head in surprised appreciation of this honor. I write these lines from the ancient heart of the University of Oxford, where I encountered masters of the teaching art and where I took my first steps as a teacher years ago. My efforts to improve as a teacher reflect my commitment to this value and my still unpaid debt to those who opened my life to learning and teaching. At the very least, and as my students will appreciate, this award provides me with an even stronger incentive to get the content of an entire law school course depicted on just one PowerPoint slide. The second recipient of a Trustees Teaching Award who is with us today is Professor Deborah Whitus. I will quote the student committee here in saying that Professor Whitus is dedicated to teaching in ways that work with and for her students. Students appreciate the wide range of teaching methods that she uses to enrich their experience, a combination of lecture, discussion, role-playing, assignments, guest speakers, and practical problems. They also praise her willingness to engage them in complicated policy discussions while simultaneously making clear the black-letter law. Finally, Professor Whitus is recognized for her ability to humanize the law. And I will end with another quotation from the student committee. Her empathy and enthusiasm for what she teaches allows students to better understand the human stories that are frequently not apparent from a casebook. Professor Whitus makes her students more thoughtful and conscientious future lawyers.
Well, thank you so much. It's really a wonderful honor, particularly at a school that I know does value teaching so much and where there are so many excellent teachers and so many of my colleagues whom I've learned from in my time here. So I'm really honored. I also want to thank my daughter who wanted to come to see this. Since I teach family law and employment discrimination, I talk about work-family balance issues in both classes. And I was really touched and excited that she wanted to come to see me get an award for the other side of my life that she doesn't see as much of. So thank you to her. And most of all, a huge thank you to my students who make it so rewarding and fun for me to go into the classroom every day. I really value your curiosity, your enthusiasm, your willingness to try the various experiments I make you try in terms of simulations and cold calling in an upper level class and such. And your willingness to think about hard, complex issues, grapple with the underlying policy issues. I know that you will become wonderful attorneys, capable, knowledgeable, strategic, and caring, and it's really an honor and a privilege to teach you. So thanks.
Finally, we come to the Leon Wallace Teaching Award. This award, named for the school's former dean, is the highest teaching honor given to faculty at the law school. It recognizes those who have achieved the very highest levels of excellence in teaching and allows us to celebrate the importance of teaching to all of us here at the school. I am honored to present this year's Leon Wallace Teaching Award to Professor Mark Janus. The memo nominating Professor Janus opens by stating that he absolutely deserves the Wallace Teaching Award this year for his excellence in teaching and the immense amount of professional development work he does to benefit students. Students praise him for being engaging, interactive, and genuinely funny, which is much appreciated in dense, not my word, dense early morning classes. They find him technologically savvy and appreciate his use of PowerPoints, visuals, and YouTube clips to effectively relay material. He is recognized as an excellent teacher who makes complicated material resonant, lively, and interesting. As the initial quotation indicated, students also appreciate his unwavering commitment to their professional development. They note that he works extremely hard to give students practical legal experience through externships, moot court competitions, mentoring relationships, and research positions, creating networking opportunities and employment paths for them that simply would not exist otherwise. In the view of his students, it is clear that he cares deeply not only about teaching in the classroom, but about teaching in the context of the longer-term career goals of his students. Mark, in recognition of your consistently excellent teaching, I am very pleased to present you with the Leon Wallace Award.
Well, thanks, God. What a privilege it is for us to teach here. Everybody who teaches here knows that, and it really is true.
Technologically savvy.
I guess not. Something. I just have two thank yous. Thank you number one is thank you, Hannah, for not teaching this year, making it therefore much easier for other people to fail. It's probably a recycled joke, but it is a real pleasure to receive this award from someone who herself is such an extraordinary teacher. That's number one. Number two, of course, I would want to thank all of my professors, and fortunately for me, that's very easy to do because I'm an alum of this law school, and I can look around the room and see many of my professors. The three whose portraits are going to be unveiled, all of them were my professors. So really, it is just amazing to join your company in being a recipient of this award. So thank you so much.
So, can you hear me if I'm just projecting from up here? Okay. This afternoon we have the opportunity to honor three more exceptional teachers, Professors Bob Hite, Julia Lambert, and Jean Shreve, who will all be retiring from the faculty at the end of this academic year. And if the three, I can see Professor Hite and okay, come a little bit forward. Together, you're just going to stand there. Together, these wonderful colleagues have educated and inspired thousands of students and have been active and important participants in the intellectual life of the faculty. A lovely tradition on our campus is the preparation of biographical sketches of all retiring faculty members by colleagues within their departments. And so in celebrating each of these retirees, I would like to read from those statements. And I will begin with Professor Hite. Please. Now you have to really come for it. Professor Hite attended the University of Wisconsin as an economics major and continued there at the law school, graduating second in the JD class of 1972. After graduation, he served as a law clerk for the Honorable John W. Reynolds, Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. He then practiced law at the Antitrust Division of the United States Department of Justice for 5 years before moving into teaching at the University of Nebraska. 4 years later, Indiana University brought him to Bloomington, where he has taught antitrust, torts, law and economics, insurance law, products liability, legal drafting, and business torts. Bob has authored articles in these fields and others. His fearlessness in voicing contrarian ideas shows up, for example, in his provocative choice of title for one of his articles, Maintaining Incentives for Bioprospecting, the Occasional Need for a Right to Lie. One of his personal favorites is The Avid Sportsman and the Scope for Self-Protection in Torts, when exculpatory clauses should be enforced, which urges courts to throw out tort suits against vendors of recreational activities. The Defense Law Journal has selected 4 of his articles on torts for republication. Throughout his 31 years of teaching at our school, Bob devoted significant energy to the goal of getting students to think more carefully about legal issues of doctrine and policy. His success in reaching this goal is encapsulated in one comment on a student evaluation. I entered your class in August with a skull full of mush. Today, I will exit your class thinking like a lawyer. Bob, congratulations. We are going to have the unveiling of the official retirement photograph, and I also have for each retiring faculty member a scrapbook that was put together by the law librarians, and a small version of the photograph. Okay. Thanks. Would you like to say a couple of words after this? It's optional. Here, let's unveil.
Well, this reminds me of a somewhat similar ceremony. Spring 1932, the Elihu Root Law Library at Harvard Law School, recognizing the 90th birthday of Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. After the ceremony, a young woman approached Justice Holmes and said, "Justice Holmes, I've traveled 500 miles to see your bust unveiled." And Holmes looked at her and he said, "My dear, I would gladly travel 500 miles to return the compliment."
Okay, you can just.
All right, I'm here.
Thank you. Julia Lambert was one of only 9 female students in her class at our law school in the early 1970s. She developed an early interest in gender discrimination law, a field then in its infancy, which she has pursued throughout her career. Following her graduation, Professor Lambert served as an assistant professor of business law at the Kelley School of Business, where she created and taught one of the nation's first courses in employment discrimination. She then joined the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in Washington. Like Professor Haidt, she started her law teaching career at the University of Nebraska before returning to Indiana University in 1978. She rapidly became one of the nation's leading authorities on Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972, which prohibits gender discrimination in education programs and activities at schools that receive federal financial assistance, and on education and employment discrimination law more broadly. She pioneered courses in these areas as well, teaching classes including employment discrimination, women and the law, and civil rights statutes. In addition to her work as a scholar and teacher, Professor Lambert has also dedicated herself to important administrative roles within our school and at the university. And I think the one that surely both proves and tests her administrative mettle is the chairmanship of the campus athletics committee. Here at the law school, she served as the school's first associate dean for clinical education and first co-director of the Center for the Study of Law and Society. And she currently, for which I'm very grateful, is serving as interim executive associate dean. In many administrative roles at the university, she worked tirelessly to enhance equality in employment and educational opportunities at IU. She served as affirmative action officer for the Bloomington campus, as dean for women's affairs, and as interim director of the university's Office of Affirmative Action. She was instrumental in establishing the university's Women in Science program. As one colleague noted, it is difficult to find anyone who has done more for women on the Bloomington campus. In 2003, Professor Lambert was named Office for Women's Affairs Distinguished Scholar. The selection committee surely spoke for generations of her students and colleagues when it described her as modeling the complete academic citizen.
I'll just say thank you very much. This has been my home forever, and that means a lot. The people in the background are not related to me. They happen to be field hockey players. That one of the things I did was make sure they had a field to play. When we first had a field hockey team, they played indoors, and the one thing you don't do with field hockey is play indoors. So they now have actually a great field, and so I'm celebrating with them. So thank you very much.
Jean Shreve graduated with honors from the University of Oklahoma in 1965 and then went on to the Harvard Law School. Upon graduation in 1968, he began his legal career as a staff attorney to then Massachusetts Attorney General Elliot Richardson. In 1969, he served as a law clerk to the Honorable Sarah T. Hughes in Houston, Texas. After his clerkship, Jean joined the Boston Legal Assistance Project, where from 1970 to 1973, he represented individuals in a wide variety of cases. He returned to Harvard as a teaching fellow, was awarded an LLM degree in 1975, and then began his academic career. He taught at the Vermont Law School, the GW Law School, and New York Law School before joining our faculty in 1984. Since he embarked on his academic career, his scholarly commitments, including his teaching, continue to be shaped by his deep experience with issues of equality, civil liberties, and public interest. He is a spectacular teacher, engaging, witty, compassionate, and thought-provoking. Generations of students have benefited from his teaching and scholarship in civil procedure, jurisprudence, and conflicts of law. The students have recognized his teaching and overall contributions to the school many times, including through the award of the Leon Wallace Teaching Award in 1993 and the Gavel Award, recognition by the graduating classes in 1995 and 2002. The imagination and intellectual precision of Jean's scholarship has advanced the thinking of his colleagues as well in the areas in which he works. He has contributed enormously to the legal literatures in his fields through his treatise on civil procedure, his extensive writings in the area of conflicts of law, and his deep engagement with American pragmatists in writing on the philosophy of instrumentalism in relation to the law. To understand the depth of Jean's creativity and imagination, one need only visit his office. It is a living museum, reflecting his journeys as a visiting scholar to Africa and Europe, and his finely honed taste in antiques and indigenous arts. His artistic passions mirror a legal mind that is always fresh, always exploring the boundaries of the law, asking tough questions, and educating his students and his colleagues in the process.
Well, I'm fortunate in having an opportunity to talk to you tomorrow, so all I'll say today is thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate all of these wonderful colleagues. There is some food over here. I promised the students who were at the front of the line before the ceremony that we would honor that placement and let them get to it first. But please, I hope you have some time to enjoy a brief reception and honor our Teaching Award winners and retiring faculty members. Thank you so much for being here.